Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have a different setup today. I'm using a lot of very close, tight shots, so I figured why not play around with a new background? Let me know what you think down below, because today I will be sharing my current go-to fluffy-ish eyebrow routine. Typically, I skip this part altogether in my makeup tutorials because I don't want it to be too repetitive. But it's been a really long time since I've gone in depth with my brows. I fill them in completely different, and I'm using a lot of new products, so it is time. Now, brows, just like everything else in beauty, are very personal. Everybody has their own style, their own preferences. So this is just what works for me, and I truly believe that absolutely anybody can achieve a very similar look, regardless of the amount of brow hairs you have. I don't get my eyebrows done by anybody professional, and I never really pluck them. Every once in a while I will remove a hair if it's so far away from the brow that it is very obvious. I can't kind of brush it in and hide it in with the rest of the hair, so I am going to clean them up a little bit today. Like, I see a couple hairs right down here. They're pretty far away from the tail of the brow, so those can go. Other than that, I just let them grow free, grow wild. I also never trim my eyebrows. I like them to be a little bit bushy, a little fluffy, and gravity just does its thing. So when I brush them up, you'll see the hairs may look a little bit long. If I had them done by a professional, they would probably trim them down a little bit. And that is something that I've done in the past, but I just let them grow as long as possible because that just adds to the fluff. I'm going to be using 3 products to create this brow, and these were all sent to me complimentary from Benefit Cosmetics, so big thank you to them. This video is not sponsored by Benefit Cosmetics, and I really think depending on what you have at home, you can probably recreate this look using something you already have. So here I have this Precisely My Brow Pencil, and I do really like this. Before the box arrived, I was using my Anastasia Brow Wiz. Prior to that, my $1 billion brow pencil had just ran out, so I returned to the Brow Wiz. I think the Wiz I have is maybe a tad too light, and this is maybe even a tad too dark, but I think it applies a lot nicer. It just goes on really smooth. With the Brow Wiz, I find that if I have too much powder or foundation around my brows, it sometimes struggles to apply the product. So I end up having to go over the same line over and over and over again, which kind of defeats the purpose because it ends up looking like one giant blob of pigment instead of individual hair strokes. So I'm really impressed with this. It's a very fine tip, just like the Brow Wiz, but I think it goes on a little bit nicer. To set the hairs in place, I'm using this 24-hour brow setter. This is a 24-hour invisible shaping and setting gel for brows. This is a very crucial step for a fluffier brow, and I really love this as well. It truly holds the brow hairs, and you can tell because it dries very fast, and then if you try to go back over them, they aren't budging. So this stuff is really amazing. Probably the best brow gel I've ever used. This new product, this would be the one non-negotiable. I don't think you can find something similar. This is their new Brow Microfilling pen, and I have the shade Medium Brown. There are other brow pens on the market. I actually have a couple, and they work really nicely. What sets this apart is that it has 3 separate prongs. There's a uniform space in between them, so it gives you a very precise look, and it's intended to mimic microblading, so it gives you that individual hair-like stroke. You could achieve a very similar look if you're just freehanding with a traditional brow pen, but you're not going to have that uniform space. So it will look similar, not the same. I started experimenting with this over the weekend, and I was so impressed by how easy it was the very first time. So I love this. I highly recommend it. I don't think there's anything else like it. I just changed out the lens on the camera so you're zoomed in a little bit closer, so hopefully you can really see everything I'm doing. The first step is to brush up our brow, so I'm just going in with the spoolie end of the Precisely My Brow Pencil, and I brush them straight up. You can see the shading down here from my microblading. It's mostly gone. But if I move the hair, you can see there's some pigment left. I'm starting with the Microfilling pen, shade medium brown. I'm going to use the center of my nostril as a guide, so this is where I want my brow to begin, right here. The other great thing about the pen is that the 3 prongs are different lengths, so you get this really nice beveled edge. It makes it really easy. So I always start on the inside. You want to make sure when you're placing the pen that all 3 prongs are flush against your skin. That way you get all 3 strokes at the same time. Do you see those nice little baby strokes? The first couple times you're going to have to get used to it, but once you get a hang and you know exactly where it's going to draw the line, you get a lot more comfortable and it becomes really fast and easy. So I'm just going to continue to fill in the front. So I'm using the nostril as my guide to tell me how far in the brow should be, but I also want to pay attention to these hairs right here because that's going to tell me how low the brow should begin. So this is going to be angled down. I want to be sure to follow that. I always fill my brows in a little bit lower here. I fill in the arch a little bit. When you get to the tail, just do shorter strokes and then your last stroke can be straight down if you like that really precise tail. That was so fast and easy, and if you really love natural brows, at this point I think you would basically be done. They don't look too filled in, it doesn't give you that block brow. It looks really nice and natural, and it truly does mimic microblading, and it gives you the appearance of natural hair. I like how it gives you those individual strokes, especially right at the front. Again, I'm using my nostril as a guide. So this is where I want the brow to begin. And I'm also using these hairs as a guide, so this is the angle that I want. Right here. If your brows don't have a natural arch or you're not sure where they should arch, start from the center of the nostril, angle through the center of the iris. That is where the brow should arch. And same thing for the tail. Start at the center of the nostril, angle towards the outer corner of the eye. This is where the brow should end. That's really just a guide based on proportions. I picked that up from an Anastasia training, but every brow is different. Every brow. I mean, even the 2 brows on your own face are going to be different. You don't want to change them so much that it looks really crazy or unnatural, because that's also going to be a lot of work for you to do every single day. So you kind of have to play around with it. You get to know your face, what looks good, what you like, what you don't like. But I would say follow your natural shape as much as possible, but you can always alter the shape using products like this. For example, I like to fill in below the arch because I think it looks better with the proportions of my face. You might need to add a little volume on the top, or maybe you need to add a little volume at the tail or at the front. It's a brow by brow basis. I've filled in the front. Now that I've started to reach the arch, that's when I'm going to start to kind of turn my wrist. So I'm not going straight up anymore, I start to go out. And then if you want, the last line can just be down. So these are the brows with just the brow microfilling pen. I think they look really nice. It's a very soft, more natural looking brow, and this may be a perfect stopping place for you if that's your desired look. I'm gonna go in with the pencil, fill them in just a little bit more. But the other great thing about this pen, I'm not sure it's 24 hours, I haven't worn it an entire day, but it truly is long wearing. Once it sets on your face, it isn't going anywhere. You can play with your brows, you can touch them. I mean, you would have to really rub for them to move at all. You're still going to have that little hair-like stroke later on in the afternoon. From morning until evening, they look the same, which I love. The second step is to fill in any gaps, and there really aren't that many because of the pen. But I do want to go in mainly in the center and the tail of the brow. I think the front is pretty nice, but right in here, when I'm done filling them in, I'm just going back quickly with this spoolie. If there are any little hair strokes or any little pencil strokes that came across a little bit too dark, I always just go horizontal to blend it out, like that. And then it basically disappears. Now I'm just gonna set the hairs in place using the 24-hour brow setter, and you can just see whenever you take the wand out how it kind of strings along. It's very thick, very sticky, and that's what gives it so much hold. I also really like this brush. This is like super glue for your brows. And again, because of gravity, I can brush them straight up. As much as it holds, they will fall back down to a reasonable place, so I just brush them up. You can already feel that it's starting to dry. So they're pretty much going to stay just like that. The brows are set, they're fluffy, they're filled in, nearly done. I've seen some videos online of people still using concealer to outline their brows, even though they went in with the brow microfilling pen. So if that's a step that you're used to, you can absolutely still do that and have that microbladed effect. I've never really used concealer. Sometimes, like if I mess up my eyeshadow or something like that and I need to clean it up, then I will go in with concealer. But I don't think it's necessary. On a daily basis, that's a step that I skip, but I always like to highlight my brow bone. With a brush, I'm just picking up this Dior highlighter. You can see I've hit pan in the center, and it started to collapse a little bit. Made me sad that it's hollow underneath. This is going right underneath. What a difference the little highlighter makes. Just elevates the entire look. Done. Fast and easy, and it changes the entire look overall. The best part about these brows is that they are not going to budge, they will not smudge. They're going to stay put until much later tonight when I'm removing my makeup. So I don't really have to worry about them, even though we went in with a couple different products. They're set in place, and I could try to move these hairs just to show you, but it's as if you put extra firm hold hair gel on your eyebrows. They're not going anywhere. As long as I don't touch them, they're not gonna move. I haven't always loved my eyebrows. It's been a real process. I don't think I was ever very good at filling them in. I didn't know what I was doing. It's taken a long time to get to this point, but this is the happiest I have ever been. A couple years ago, I did a one-on-one training with an Anastasia Beverly Hills trainer, and she helped me work out the proportions of my face. That was huge, but also just finding the right products, kind of tinkering with how you fill them in. Once you get there and you figure out the steps that look best with your face shape, it becomes very fast and easy. It's really more about the products and the techniques than it is about the amount of hair on your eyebrows. There are a ton of incredible makeup artists out there who do some pretty incredible transformations. So it can be done. Give it time, put in the work, and you will see the results. And that completes today's brow tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you found it helpful to see the entire process start to finish. No skipping anything. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face down in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.